businesses. And so that's been really fun professionally too. So let me kick this off. Delegate and Elevate. I'm going to run through it like from the beginning. So this is the why that we go ahead and use these tools. There is this concept that we call the EOS Life. It's doing work you love with people you love, making a difference in the world, being compensated appropriately, and having time for other passions. This simple phrase together, these 5 things, is incredibly comprehensive and inspiring to me. So that's why and Delegate and Elevate is the tool that I like the most for moving toward this. It is just one tool though, and you'll want to use multiple. Also, I should share that at the end of this, the slides and me talking are going to be the smaller part of our hour. Maybe I've got 15 or 20 minutes of content. And then we're going to do Q&A, and I have a process for you texting in your Q&A, and I'll show that to you right after we're done with the 12th slide. So I'm hoping to answer a lot of the questions as I go through the content, but just know that there'll be an opportunity for Q&A afterwards, and probably quite a bit of it. So that's the why. Doing work you love, because it's such a big part of your waking hours. I mean, why not do something you love? I know so many people compromise and just find something that they're okay with or they like. But once you have something you love, you won't want to have it any other way. With people you love, and if that's a little bit too kumbaya for you in the workplace, you could, in your environment at your office, because you'll be sharing this with everybody, you could say with people you like and respect, but now that I work with people I love, I don't want to do that any other way either. It just, why? When you get to choose, making a difference in the world takes on lots of different forms for different people. This doesn't, it does not have to fit some societal stereotype. You could be making a difference in the world for your organization, could be providing a stable, healthy place for these 200 folks to work and support their family, things like that. Or it could be something really grand. And that's quite literally changing the world in a big way, affecting millions of people. You decide what making a difference in the world means for your organization and for you personally. Being compensated appropriately, I think, is fantastically worded. And then time for other passions. If you are not throughout your life finding yourself with some extra money and time such that you can start a new hobby, you are gradually becoming a more boring person. So, and you don't want that, right? Nobody wants that. So I'd let me go into Elevate and Delegate, and then we're going to wrap up with this EOS Life again. So I'm going to just give it to you as if you've never seen it before. I assume most of you have seen this. Like a lot of concepts in business, it is nicely articulated in these 4-quadrant matrix style. So in the upper left-hand corner is the quadrant, your highest value quadrant. This is the stuff that you love to do and you're great at, the tasks, the things you're accountable for. You are in the top 1 or 2% of people you know. You're quite literally one of the best folks you know at this. This concept is inspired by Dan Sullivan and his unique ability concept. And in this upper left-hand quadrant, he would say, these are your unique abilities up here. The things that people have told you your whole career, man, you're great at that. You like it so much or love it so much that you would do it for free. Good example of this in my network is that I work with Gibson Insurance, awesome insurance agency in Northern Indiana. And their CFO, Ron, has won some awards as like CFO of the year in the state of Indiana or something like that. And what Ron does in his spare time is he volunteers for a bunch of nonprofits, sits on the board. He's in the finance seat at the insurance business, and he sits in the finance seats for those nonprofits for no pay. Like when you're in your sweet spot, in your unique ability, doing work you'll love, you often find yourself being willing to give it away. And it gives you energy. You quite literally have more energy at the end of the task than you had at the beginning of it, but it gives you energy just in anticipation of the tasks. And you want to get clear on what these are in your life, of course, these unique abilities, these things you love to do and you're great at. Then one step down from that in terms of value to the organization is the stuff that you like to do and you're good at it. Thank goodness for that stuff. One more step down in value, and now below the line, as we call it, the horizontal line there, are the things that you don't like to do, yet you happen to be good at them. And these things, these can be traps. Some people get caught in traps called quote unquote jobs, right? Doing these things for 10, 20, 30 years. And it's really a shame. Please don't be spending a huge amount of your energy in this quadrant. And then the lowest value one, I'm going to go into some more detail on, but this is the stuff that you don't like and you're bad at it. I sometimes playfully call this the suck bucket. These are the things that you just are no good at. You've never been good at these things. You often wonder why this thing's on your plate. It drains your energy to do these tasks or have these accountabilities. You hate it. These are tasks you hate. You procrastinate, you dread them, you avoid them. When you do them, you often do poor quality work and hand it in late. So I want you to get busy thinking about in your career, how in the upper left-hand quadrant, what are those accountabilities or tasks? And in the lower right-hand corner, what are those accountabilities or tasks? These are the highest value and the lowest value things that are on your plate. So the easiest way to do it, to fill out this quadrant, is you would start with the leadership team and take 1 week of your life as a leadership team and give everybody a legal pad and a pen, and they draw this quadrant, or you can do it on a spreadsheet on your computer if you're in front of your computer all week. Legal pad's pretty portable. And you do everything you touch that you spend meaningful time on, talking to direct reports, driving to a job site, doing that other thing. You know the tasks. There's 100 of them in a week. But at least get like the top 35 things you're spending time on in one of these 4 quadrants. And I think it's easy to understand because I've defined the highest value and the lowest value. You can guess and fill in those other 2, what those are. And then the leadership team gets together, and what you want to do is have a conversation about how you can get the lower right-hand quadrant, the ones in orange on the screen right now, the things that you dread, how you can get those tasks off your plate, delegate them to a vendor, or stop doing them, or automate them, and reallocate your time up to more stuff that you love to do and you're great at, and you like to do and you're good at. So this works great, and the easiest way to do this at first is to only act on the tasks that are a win for the employee, yourself, and are a win for the business. So whatever you're going to spend the money on the delegation, right? It could be a vendor, could be a W-2, an employee that works there with you, or a 1099 contractor. Stopping doing rarely costs money, but I guess in some scenario it might. Automating almost always costs some money or resources. But you find a way to get these really undesirable tasks off your plate that are draining your energy. It costs the company money. You identify like 3 to 5 hours a week of stuff you're working on in this quadrant. And then you identify 3 to 5 hours of work you could do above the line, the stuff that you love to do and you're great at, or you like to do and you're good at. And these should be higher value activities to the organization. And for you individually, you're going from things that you don't like to things that you like or love. The organization gets more gross margin than it's paying to those vendors or employees or contractors that are doing your work. And you are doing more of your sweet spot stuff. So this is called Delegate and Elevate. And we're talking about it in a work context, but I'll tell you on a personal level, it is also an amazing activity. Most people, when you think about doing this in your personal life, this is how a person hires a cleaning person for the first time, is that they look around at all the tasks on their plate, they identify one that they like the least, and they outsource it. They get a vendor, a cleaning lady, or man, sorry, don't mean to be gender specific. So, but there's a whole lot of other things that you can do around your personal life to make your personal life be above the line also. All stuff to do that you like or love. So this activity takes about 6 months. It's been my experience with it. 3 to 6 months. The leadership team, you spend a week and you fill out this grid, and then you meet a number of times and you talk about the things that are in everybody's don't like or bad quadrant. You talk about all the things that are in the above the line and everybody's love and great and like and good. This is also serves as a team building activity. Now you're being really transparent, open about the things you don't like and you're not good at, and the things that you'd love to do and you're great at. This is great conversations as a team. You start making some plans, quite literally taking some rocks to go ahead and get these things off your plate and to reallocate. So if we're going to have a quantifiable expense by delegating these things in the lower right, I want quantifiable results up in the upper left, above the line. So I want things like, you've got a scorecard metric where you're going to visit 3 clients this week. If I outsource all your data entry into CRM, I want to raise your scorecard metric to 5 then. You say the CRM drains your energy and all that paperwork is something that you don't care for. Well, heck, I'll pay somebody to do it as long as you go out and we raise your scorecard metric for 5 client visits a week. This makes perfect sense to me. That's what we're up to. So quantifiable cost in the lower right to delegate it to someone, quantifiable gain above the line as measured in a scorecard somewhere or measured in some other way. But scorecard's really ideal since you're looking at it every week and you're level 10s anyway. So, and this is phase 1. So this is the leadership team starts this activity. You work on this as a team. It takes you between 3 and 6 months because sometimes you need to hire a W-2 employee or search for a vendor, or automating things takes time. So this is a 3 to 6 month activity to get everybody out of the don't like and bad quadrant on the leadership team for the greater good of the business. Everybody's liking their role a bit more and the business is making more money. This is the win-win. Okay. Next thing we're up to is the leadership team moves over to the left. The things that you don't like and you're good. So this is the next 3 to 6 months of activity. Leadership team continues the conversation. Now you're talking about all the things that you don't like, yet you happen to be good at it, and how we can delegate those to vendors, employees, or contractors, stop doing it or automate those things. And when you as leaders move over to the don't like and good quadrant, then the department teams start working on the don't like and bad. And you get to talk or speak to this concept from experience, not as something you heard on a webinar or read about in a book. You get to speak to it as like, this is what we've been doing on the leadership team the last 6 months. That's why you've seen me up my client visits. And you start inspiring all of your direct reports to do this for themselves. Ultimately, we go through this activity and push it further down in the organization, and we move your direct reports over to the lower left where they're getting rid of their don't like good stuff also. The ultimate goal is all leaders' time is above the line. That you've moved things for your high value employees. Often the place that you're going to focus are your most expensive folks. We need to get more value or optimize our biggest payroll costs. Think of it like this. And we move all of the stuff that's represented by the blue squares here or rectangles and move it above the line. So if we go back to 2003 and 2004, I had an agency, what would now be called a content marketing agency. And we used to do this once a year. And we would go through everybody in the agency, and assuming they were doing their regular job well, part of the review process would be delegate and elevate. And I would say, find the 10% of your job that you hate the most, and we're going to give it to somebody else to do. And people, the first year they were on board with my company, would just be shaking their heads. Just like, you're kidding me, right? That's better than the raise. I get to get rid. So they would just be flabbergasted. So we're going to take the 10% of my job I hate the most, and you're going to let me reallocate that time to the stuff that I love to do or I like to do? Yes, that's what we're doing. It's because you're winning in your role. So this is for folks that are succeeding. This is a treat. This is how to optimize already successful people. Payroll is a massive expense for the average organization. This is a way to get a higher ROI out of your payroll spend. And then the EOS Life again. So doing the work you love with people you love, making a difference in the world, being compensated appropriately, and time for other passions. So let me talk a little bit. I mean, the top two are really straightforward, right? We just talked about, identifying the things that you love and doing more of it. The people you love, this is a right seat and right person conversation as I see the world. So, and people I love are going to be aligned with our organization's core values. Making a difference in the world, I touched on at the beginning, but this takes a lot of different forms in different organizations. You decide what that means for you individually, and your organization decides what it means to the organization. I find that half of my clients, this making a difference in the world, is partially articulated in the purpose, cause, or passion. So you can look there and see if that's a place that you want to make a statement about your organization's making a difference in the world. Being compensated appropriately. So let's talk about this. How do you get paid more inside your organization? The short answer is you create more value. You have to earn it. There's a great book by Jill Young. She's a fellow EOS implementer and friend of mine out of Texas. It's called Earn It. I know you can find it on Amazon. So Jill Young and Earn It. And this is when you have employees that are coming to you as their leader and saying, hey, I'd like a raise that's larger than the cost of living raise. This is a conversation about how they go out and make themselves more valuable to the organization and consequently get a raise. Doing this Delegate and Elevate is a way that you're making yourself more valuable to the organization. If you have a desire to be compensated more appropriately than you're currently being compensated, I think this is an incredible place to start. And then the time for other passions, as I mentioned before, we just want to make sure that you have a life outside of what you're doing career-wise. So I'm a married guy with 4 kids, between 8 and 12 right now. So there's a lot going on at my house. And then I have multiple business things that I work on, as well as being an EOS implementer. And so I have a lot of things going on there. But I find in my own life, about every 5 years, I'm finding the energy, the time, and the money to start a new hobby. About 6 years ago, it was sailing. In the last 18 months, it's been one-wheeling. It's an electric skateboard. You probably don't want to know more, but it just lights me up. And so what is it for you? And how long has it been since you've established a new hobby? Man, I'll tell you, it just makes my life better to have something going on. And I understand that I'm a fortunate guy, that I have the time and the money to go ahead and start a new hobby about every 5 years. And please hear me feeling grateful about that. I want it for you too. I want it for everybody that's on this call. So that's the EOS Life. It's not just for the leadership team, it's for everybody in your organization. You can also, I have some organizations that have made this part of their 3-year picture, and they start promoting it internally all over the place. And it becomes a little bit like a battle cry. Yeah, that's what we're doing. And Delegate and Elevate is one of the primary tools we're doing to get here. So this is the thank you slide. I want to thank everybody that's here live for this. This will also be on YouTube later. And now we're going to switch over.